Hello, my name is Peter Whiteside. I've decided to start doing some Roblox tutorials. I initially started doing this for my grandkids, but it turns out that other people are interested, and so why not, right? Okay, so I initially did a video which I'll make public. It's private right now, but I'll make it public about this little project I'm working on, which is here. I'll hit play, and you can see what's going on. This is a little bit of review from my last video, but you can see here's my little guy. And if I come up here and click on this, it says, danger, jump over the fire or be destroyed. And if I run over to this red thing and click on that, it says, danger, exit only teleporter. Well, if I don't listen and I go over it, it, it basically puts me in the middle of the beam. And that's not good because, oh, luckily I hit the teleporter before I got destroyed. See, and I accidentally activated it again. Here we go. There. Whoops, a little bit of a bounce because I fell from a great height. And there. But this is something I put together to demonstrate a few things to kids. Mainly, that Roblox is a very simple system to work together. And you can basically acquire all kinds of assets online and put them together and make your own stuff without having to be a genius coder or really know anything about modeling or texturing or color or anything. But as you start accumulating these assets and putting them together into a kit, you'll start learning stuff in spite of yourself. So, boom. That's an explosion effect which I got online and applied. And the other one is the teleporter effect, which is this one. Remember, it teleported me to the beam, but if I come down here and run and jump over the fire, and the way you do that, space jumps, W goes forward, D goes right, A goes left, S goes backwards, right? So if I go W and shift is run, see how he runs? All right, so if I back up a little bit and I get a running start by pressing shift and W, he's going to run, and then I jump with space bar, and you see how I teleported through the beam? Okay, now that's the gist of this little project here, but here's a couple things that I wanted to point out. So it turns out that in adapting things that you get online here, and there's, like, for instance, if I search for teleporter, and here's a bunch of teleporters. This is the one I started with, right? And then I renamed it. I made a tiny tweak to a couple of things about it. But essentially, I used it as it arrived. And I learned stuff by just trying to modify it. So as an example, if I click on, let me stop this. And then I'll click on this red teleporter. And if we look at its properties, here's the color. Does it cast a shadow? Probably doesn't need to because it's on the ground. So let's turn that off. And if we look in the Explorer view, we can see that there is a script on it and a weld that's welding it to the base plate so it doesn't fall through the world whenever we start it. And here's the dialogue that says, warning, danger, exit only teleporter. And the way that I've applied these things is I just hit the little plus here, and then there's a script, there's a texture, there's the dialogue, and here are all the other things that I can add to it, which, let's not go into too much detail at this point, but as you can see, a lot. So what this means is that this is a great little toolkit that's available to anybody, especially kids, to put together a world. And so, for instance, I renamed this teleporter to Red Teleporter. And then I double click on the script, and I just had, only thing I had to do is change this to where I wanted it to go, which is White Teleporter, which is the other one right here. And that is, if I pick it and choose move, you can see that it's a model inside of the beam that when I touch it, it teleports me to the red. Now, I didn't understand any of this when I first started, which was about less than 2 weeks ago. But because I've had quite a bit of experience working in Unreal and Unity and other game engines and spent like 3 decades in the game industry and a couple movies, I was able to understand this pretty quickly. Now, I don't know every nuance of everything, but I've learned a few things, like, you know, if I were to pick on this little beam warning thing, oops, and if I hit F, it frames it. Now I can pivot around it. And if I click on this little arrow, it opens it up, and I can see, here's the dialogue, and this is where I just type in under the initial prompt, you know, what I want to say. You can turn on a dialogue where you have to, you know, you say goodbye and all this other stuff. We're not going to do that at this moment. I'm just like giving them a clue. Don't run into there, you know, jump over it. Anyway, so that's my first point, that by downloading stuff from the Roblox website, which right here we can search for anything. Let's look for dragons, or maybe just dragon. And look, there's all kinds of dragons. Now, I can load this into this, for instance, if I click on it, suddenly I now have a dragon in here. But there's going to be a few things that I have to do to get this thing to work, you know. And I don't want to go into all those details just yet, but I just wanted to let you know how easy it is to get an asset in here. And then it's just a question of figuring out how to make it work in your world. So one of the things that I want to point out, and I don't want to make these videos super long, I want to keep them concise. One of the things that you learn in here, if you pick on an object, like I picked on the white beam, that's this big cone, right? You'll notice here's the color. It's white. If I choose this and then choose a different color, now it's red. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. However, one of the things that we can learn from this is that, oh, red is 255 red, 0 green, and if I go 0 blue, now it's pure red, right? See how it's all red? What if I wanted not a really pure red, but a slightly desaturated red? Maybe I'll do 100 green and 100 blue. And now I get this kind of pinky desaturated red. That's because, and this is the kind of thing that you can learn by playing around with something like this, is that computers computer color is based on red, green, and blue. And this is applicable to Photoshop, Paint, Blender, you name it. Any 3D application out there is based on red, green, and blue. And red and green add up to yellow. So if I go 255 in yellow and 0 in blue, I get a pure yellow, right? Now, that's not, you know, intuitive to the average person. And also 255, 255, 255, like all colors all the way up, and the range is 0 to 255. Now I have white again, right? So all colors added up is white. 0 colors, if I went 0, 0, 0, guess what it'll be? Black. A black beam. Okay? And because the neon material that I've added to it actually is additive, when you add something to 0, you get, it's actually multiplicative. So if you multiply something against 0, you get 0. So let's go back to red, 255 in red. You see, we just learned a principle by playing around with something that's really easy to understand, and that kids can get, which is all colors in computer land are based on red, green, and blue. And red and green all the way up is yellow. Green and blue all the way up is cyan, which is a kind of a blue color. I'll show you that. Oops, missed. Sorry. Here we go, 255. There, that's what we call cyan. If I wanted pure blue, of course, I would just make it 00255. Now I have blue. So there, we've just learned a basic principle of computer graphics that will apply to anything you want to do. And that's probably enough information for this video. I will continue to give tidbits to people out there so that they can ease their way into the world of computer graphics and game development. This Roblox platform is probably the easiest one to access as a newbie or an untrained person or a young person. I've developed in Unity, which is really good, but it's got some complexities. And Unreal, also really good, also some complexities. Can be overwhelming when you first encounter it. This is like a building block system, and so you can get things going right away and then learn as you go how to adjust things. So that's I guess my point for this video, which is how Roblox introduces anybody, especially children, to how to build a game, but also gives them some underlying concepts that will apply to any computer graphics system, and specifically to game development. That's my point for today.